Gentlewoman from Fairfax, Ms. Filler-Corn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, this week from his hospital room, Governor McAuliffe utilized his executive authority to conditionally pardon Reginald Neli Latson, a young man with autism, with mental health challenges and intellectual disabilities, who became caught up in the criminal justice system. Who is Neli and what happened to him? Neli is a young autistic man who became intertwined in a downward spiral of incarceration, lack of treatment in jail, segregated housing, and isolation. Neli's series of charges were based on actions that 2 judges, public and private treatment professionals, as well as state and local correction officials, all recognized were fully associated with Neli's behavioral diagnoses. Since 2011, 2 governors' administrations recognized that Neli Latson's case could not result in a good outcome for Neli or for the long-term safety of the Commonwealth citizens who also have similar disabilities to Neli. Both Governor McDonnell and Governor McAuliffe helped and acted where they could, asking their executive agencies to act in an effective, positive, and constitutionally permissible way to address Neli Latson's behavioral needs, also while providing for his care, maintaining public safety, and not to exceed the limits of the governor's constitutionally limited executive authority. I want to specifically thank Governor McAuliffe for his action earlier this week in this unusual and heartbreaking case. Neli will now be able to be treated for his conditions in a secure treatment facility in Florida, a recommendation that was made by 2 courts and echoed by advocates throughout the Commonwealth and the United States, all who supported this cause. Individuals with autism often have difficulty in many situations, especially social situations. When faced with an uncertain environment, many children with autism and adults can sometimes lash out. For Neli, his autism produces a fight or flight survival response and a fear of law enforcement. These uncertain conditions and effects of his autism were the main factors in Neli's case. Without the proper care and treatment, he became trapped in a situation that only grew worse over time. Neli Latson is just one of thousands of Virginians who live with autism spectrum disorder and/or with serious mental health issues. These individuals are among the most vulnerable in our society. Like so many in this body, I am committed to do all that I can as a legislator towards working to eliminate cases like this that end up in our criminal justice system. I am hopeful that many of us will continue to support the continued development and expansion of Virginia's crisis intervention team programs to train law enforcement first responders and others how to de-escalate behavioral health crises. It is critical that people are directed to services wherever it is safe and appropriate to do so. My hope is that defense lawyers, prosecutors, and judges can work with people with disabilities if they do end up in the criminal justice system to eliminate inappropriate incarceration of people with behavioral and developmental disorders. I was proud to support last year's legislation introduced by Senator McEachin that enacted JP's law, which provides an option for driver's licenses and identification cards to list a person's autism condition, reducing the risk of misunderstanding during interaction with law enforcement. JP's law passed both the House of Delegates and the Senate unanimously and was signed into the law by Governor McAuliffe. This year, again, I am proud to be a co-patron of House Bill 1603, introduced by the delegate from Prince William, which I believe will truly help avoid situations like this in the future. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your efforts in weighing in on this matter. And thank you to so many of you in this body, so many of my colleagues in this chamber for your help, for their help as well. And thank you, Governor McAuliffe, for responding justly and thereby providing Neli with a future. Thank you.